unmute us? Yeah, we're good. We're back after a week-long hiatus. We were both on vacation in completely different parts of the country. You went very
Yes.
south. I went very mountainous. Although it was just as hot in Denver, but we're back. We couldn't miss this. It is the British Open. Everyone's going to call it the Open. I still call it the British Open because I can't break habits like that. But this is a fun one because it's always a course I've never heard of for the most part. Like they do recycle a lot of these, and some of these are obviously pretty famous courses, but it's not stuff that's getting into the regular rotation. Like you see this with some of these U.S. Opens, like oh they play an event there maybe, but it's just not something I see. So Royal St George's in, according to my card here, Sandwich, Kent,
Sandwich.
Sandwich, Kent, England. I don't. Kent must be a county or something. I don't know what do we know
2-0.
here, Pam? What did you learn about links courses this week? That was the big thing for me.
Well, I am cheating. I played the Royal Links in Las Vegas. I don't know how much comparison there is to that, but I did pull a little bit from that because it is similar rough, so maybe that helps. But it is a par 70 course that is 7,200 yards. The last time that the British Open played here at this course, it was in 2011, and it was won by Darren Clark, who shot 5 under. So I'm kind of expecting something similar as far as scoring goes, which does mean that Shane Lowry, won the title, but on a different course in 2019. I actually saw a YouTube video, and maybe you saw the same one. It was the groundskeeper for the Royal St. George's. His name is Paul Larson, and he was talking about some of the changes that he's been working on over the last few years because we didn't have 2020 events because of the pandemic. He's had a little bit of extra time to kind of get the course to how he wants it. And one of the changes was that the greens are actually bigger, as big as 20 yards wider, which is why you see the course is now shorter at 7,200 yards. And one reason for that is because they have a lot of rain. They were not expecting as much of a rain season as they've had. So he made the greens a little bit bigger to kind of accommodate for perhaps having some of those slower surfaces.
Yeah, and these kind of courses they're built on just, I mean, pardon the phrase, but it's just shitty land. Like they put
Yeah.
these, they're next to the coast because you can't do much else with it. A lot of sand underneath, so you get a lot of drainage. It keeps them kind of, at the right firmness, if you will. But and you can see like from what I'm playing here, like if you see this fairway, it looks like I'm in like Lord of the
Dry.
Rings, where there's just like hills everywhere. Like I'm in the damn Shire.
Right.
They just like
Mm-hmm.
lay a fairway over. There's no sculpting. It's just like they laid the fairway over however the terrain was.
Correct.
I'm a little leery of some players who haven't played much on these kind of courses because you're gonna be. Yeah, I should have wore. Somebody in the chat said I should have wore a kilt. I don't know. It's not in Scotland, but maybe for a Scottish one.
It's
But
not Scotland.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, I'm hoping that their approach game just translates because I feel like there's going to be a lot of shots
Mm-hmm.
where you're, and yeah, Pam, you golf a lot. I don't have to tell you this. Like if you're standing, if the ball is below your feet or above your feet,
Very uncomfortable.
it changes a lot about it. So hopefully, just some of these guys who have really good approach games, it just translates. You can see the greens were a little smaller. I like what you said about them being a little bigger. Maybe it makes it a little easier. Darren Clark is not repeating. Anybody who's seen him lately, he looks like absolute
Terrible.
hell. Like I don't. They might have to get him a cart, and then obviously, like we said, didn't play it last year. Shane Lowry is your defending champ, but it's a rotating course thing. Royal Portrush a couple years ago. This was the only major they didn't play last year, I believe, out of the. We had our fall Masters and they got everything else in. So the British just said the hell with it. Obviously, the pandemic was pretty rough over there. But who wins it, Pam? All right. So what do we got?
I'm gonna go with Louis Oosthuizen
I
at
love
plus
this.
3,300 because at some point he has to not be the bridesmaid and eventually become the bride. At least that's what I would be hoping for. This guy, Oosthuizen, he finishes runner-up 5 times since 2015 in majors. He has a third place finish as well. This is just a course that I think really suits those with a good short game. And that's exactly what he has. He's good around the greens. He can putt. He's good on bent grass greens, which is what this is. So I think he's a player that is going to contend once again. I would rather trust a short game player at this course than somebody who can bomb it off the tee.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. You can see, like, as I'm playing, like, these fairways, there are some weird. it's not like there's these massive landing areas like you see on some of these
Mm-hmm.
where the fairway gets real fat where, like at 275 yards. There's some really weird skinny areas. Not only that, if you catch the wrong part of this, it's taking a really awful bounce into some of it. It's goofy rough. They're going to let that, all the rain
Mm-hmm.
that's rough is going to be nasty. Like we are looking for people who are accurate. I ended up with, and obviously anybody who watches Brown Bag Bets knows I obviously already bet Louis. Like Louis is my guy. I will bet him until he finally gets a first place. I think I was on him for both second places, so that doesn't feel real good. But I mean, I was right. I had a top 20 for the second one. My guy is Morikawa. He's another one I bet earlier in the week. You can still find it 35-1. Like we talked
Mm-hmm.
about with some of these approach shots. Hopefully, he is the number one approach player. He's the number one irons player
Yeah.
in the game right now. Hopefully that translates well and he can hit off these just crazy undulated fairways. And his off the tee, oh, that should translate well as well. I'm not too worried about a lot of things with him as far as that. His OTT, like his shots gained, strokes gained off the tee, isn't super high, but he's very high in like fairways gained and some of the accuracy tee shot, stats, metrics, however you want to say it. So just like Pam
Mm-hmm.
kind of said, I'm more excited about somebody who can be accurate off the tee than is constantly gaining strokes off the tee by bombing it.
Right.
So yeah, not excited
Mm-hmm.
about bombers here. So Morikawa's more, and Jeff in the chat said he's fully fading Morikawa, so he probably wins. Congrats. That would be nice. I'd like to get a win from him one of these times. Um, long shots. Where's that leave us?
I'm going with my long shot is a top five finish for Justin Rose. I was really on the fence on whether I liked him or not, so I was like, well, if it's a long shot, then you're probably doing it right. Top five for a plus 1200. And just the reason for that is because he does really well at the Open Championships. He took sixth place, he took 22nd, 54th, and then in his last two, he took second and fourth. But then looking at how he does at major events, he does pretty fine there too. He took seventh at the Masters. He took 11th in 2021 season. He took seventh and 11th at the Zurich and the Masters. He took eighth at the PGA Championship. So he's had himself pretty decent. He just seems to be a player that is better on the Euro Tour than maybe somebody who excels here in the US. But Justin Rose, how he finishes when he does do well in the Open, it's a top five finish. So maybe this is a good time for him to bounce back.
Yeah, I don't hate that, especially Justin Rose and I have a complicated history because I've faded him at a couple of these majors, and based off like how poorly he played the last few weeks, and then he comes out
Yeah.
and he was like first round leader at the Masters, I think. So he has played well at the big. It's like he's the new Brooks Koepka. He's just guy's only gonna play good at majors, so I'm fine with this.
Hmm.
Justin Rose top five, 12-1. I ended up on a top 20, someone a little further down. Our guy Charlie Hoffman,
Okay.
he's had a rough couple weeks, and this is somebody we've
Yes.
backed a few times now, a few times in a
Hmm.
row. It has been a little rougher of a go for Mr. Hoffman. He played poorly of late, and I think that's dragging his price down, obviously. But over a bigger sample size, he's still a good second shot player. And if you
He
want to
is.
comp this a little to Kiowa, he played well there. He top 20'd. I get he struggles a little off the green or around the green, excuse me, but the combo of just being good off the tee paired with some accuracy numbers in there, I am more than happy to take him top 20. It's over 4-1. This is kind of a if he doesn't compete, he's not making the cut. Like if some of these things go, if his chipping goes to shit, he's just not even going to see the Saturday. But if he plays well like he had been before the last couple tournaments where he had some less than great results, I think definitely top 20. And I played a lot of top 20s this week. I am very unsure
Oh.
on like to win. I think I played like 5 or 6 already. So, and all of them at like 4-1 prices. So big top 20s for me this week. That might be my theme. And I
That's
forgot
what's
to.
good about this course is that there's a lot of players that really can contend because we don't have much course history. So it kind of leaves the door open to a lot of these players that maybe we wouldn't have considered otherwise.
Yeah. And speaking of all these players, the first head to head, we call it marquee head to head because we try to find a couple
Big
players near
names,
the top. Yeah, big names near the top of the board was not
big
difficult.
boys.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it wasn't difficult. It's still difficult to find a bet, but there's a lot of these right now because everybody's here. Obviously, a lot of them started over by playing the Irish and Scottish Open, but yeah, the gang
Hmm.
is all here. What'd you end up with, Pam?
I am convinced that Brooks Koepka is going to win this tournament. I didn't take him as my outright because his odds aren't great, and so I'd rather go for a little bit longer. But Brooks Koepka, if we're just talking about him, he is somebody who just like shows up for these majors. You kind of have to throw away those stats, whatever stats they're not impressive. But if you look at what he's done at major events. I mean, Dustin Johnson himself at the Open, he has just one top 20 in his last five. But Brooks Koepka, in his last 10 majors, he has top five in seven, including two wins and three runner ups. I mean, he is just somebody that just decides that he wants to play and he's able. He is a great ball striker. He's kind of decent around the green. That's like the worst part of his game. But if you're as good of a ball striker as he is, he can pin it close. And I mean, he's shown before at the top at the Open, he
Oh
took
yeah,
10th, 6th, 39th, and 4th. So I like Brooks Koepka minus 125 over Dustin Johnson.
yeah. DJ is still a weird case for me right now. I don't know what to do with this guy. I'm kind of with you. I'm fine fading DJ, although I don't know.
Wait until
I just
further notice.
Ooh, that was an eagle putt. I didn't even realize that. Look at that. Oh, Nick Faldo's record is going to get wrecked. I played this with the wind on heavy earlier today just to get some realism. Like, that's something we didn't mention, too. This can get real windy. It can get really unpredictable which way the wind's going to head. So, and again, we've mentioned this before on other shows. We do these independently, so we don't know what each other's on. I actually faded Kepka, but with my number one golfer on the board, Jordan Spieth, I didn't play him outright because the number is shot to hell. I ended up getting some outright on him maybe even a month ago. So I have some Spieth at like 60 to 1, which feels just great. So he'll miss the cut, I suppose. But I did play him over Kepka just based on this price. I like Spieth a lot, obviously. He's near the top of my rankings. And as
Mm-hmm.
well as, and this just might turn into another Justin Rose thing for me. Like, yeah, fade Kepka at a major. See how that goes for you, Andy. But he has mentioned how this wasn't one of his favorite courses in rotation when he goes over to the Open. So doesn't love this
Okay.
course, but and then he also said at the end of that interview he's like, I've won on courses I don't love anyway. So I don't know if that's like a huge indicator here. This is just a numbers play for me. I'm looking to back Spieth in a few different ways now that his outright price is pretty much kind of like you said with Kepka. Like the outright price is shot. Like I'm gonna look to back him in some matchups here.
I I am worried. I'm on Kepka and you're fading Kepka, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
well, it's my guy. It could go one. I did have a matchup last week. I still played golf. I still bet some golf, and I think the two players in the matchup finished first and third. I had Glover and
Nice.
Munoz, where it's
Oh, very nice.
like God, why does it have to be so hard? Why can't one of these guys just
That's
play
actually
poorly?
something that you've done multiple times this season. You did that with the what's his name? Greco?
Oh yeah, I had Higo when he won. I had him in a
Higo.
matchup. Yeah. No, it doesn't feel good to say like, oh, I like this guy, and then not back him. Of course, Glover was a big number, so stayed away from him. Our other down the board matchups. There's a big menu this week. I have a couple I like already this week, but you ended up with
I'm gonna
Texas
take Scotty
Longhorn.
Scheffler. Take Longhorns, hook him. Scotty Scheffler as an underdog, but I'm not taking him as an outright, not to win. I'm taking him at plus 1.5 strokes against Patrick Reed. Scheffler, and the reason for that is because Scheffler, he hasn't played at this course before, so maybe that's a little bit worrisome. However, Scheffler is just doing just superb things this season. He took fourth at the PGA Championship. He took 19th at the Masters, 18th at the Masters this year, 18th at the PGA Championship this year, and he took seventh at the US Open just last month. So he's doing really great things in 2021. And Patrick Reed, he's doing really great as well. But I think that these two can either end up tied or Scheffler is going to come out with like a one stroke win over Reed. I think they're both playing really well. I think this course suits both of them really well. They're both good with their short game, with their ball striking. So I think why not take him as an underdog just to stay within 1.5 strokes against another good player? I don't think either one is going to separate themselves.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Reed either. He's a guy I've backed a lot, so I've kind of stayed away from him this week. But I like Scheffler a lot. I like Scheffler every week. He's just somebody that's not quite rewarded me
Hmm.
yet. I ended up with your guy, and I don't know to call this down the board. It's a little down the board. I didn't go too far down to find this, but again, like another guy I
Okay.
like. I've met Usti. You backed him. I'm ready to back him in multiple ways. And Ricky Hatton's brother, cousin, I'm not sure. Tyrrell Hatton. I got this at minus 120. Obviously, it's Usti. The guy, yeah, what? He's done everything but win. He's got 4 top 10s stateside, 2 silver medals. Putting's been great. His approach has been great. He has the experience. He's played plenty of times over in Europe. The guy's 38 years old. Like he has some experience on this sort of course. So I'm not worried about him at all. It feels like when you back a guy and you don't quite get there, it's never you never have that happy story, that happy ending where it's like, oh, he finally won, and I want that because obviously I would win over Hatton, but the outright too. I think he finally,
Hmm.
hopefully he can finally get it done for both this and your outright. I would love to see Lewis win one, which is not.
Yeah.
I also not his first name. His first name is very long, and it's not Lewis. I looked that up the other day. I'm gonna have to remember.
It's
Go
an
look that. It's some god awful name. I guess that's how they name people down there, and just give him a short name like Louis. So I'm gonna call him Louis, but Usti over Hatton for me, and that gets us to a very unique make and miss the cut bet for you.
yes. So there's a prop there's a option where they combine parlays for you instead of having to make your own parlays. So I'm gonna take more. It's one parlay plus 100 for Colin Morikawa, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Patrick Reed to all make the cut. I do think that Patrick Reed, I know I'm going against him in a head-to-head, but I do think he's going to do well at this tournament. So I expect him to miss the cut. Morikawa, he's only missed the cut once in his last 7. And Fitzpatrick, he's made the cut in 8 of his last 10. His ball striking, I think, is too good. And then Patrick Reed, he has a top 20 in last 7 events, and his putting is too good. So I think all 3 players definitely have a shot here. Morikawa, he would be somebody you're on him. I like that. So let's do go plus 100 for 3 players to make the cut.
Yeah, I like some of, and I've done some of these too. I've seen people make. There was an old offshore book that let you parlay up to 25 of these by yourself,
Hmm.
and
Wow.
we used to make lottery tickets like this. And it was always like you'd hit 23 out of 25 or something. Like we'd make Masters Lotto tickets. Oh my God, did I just bogey? And when we get to hole in one prop, remember that tee shot I just hit on this par three. Like there are some nasty par threes at this course, but yeah, Morikawa obviously I believe in. Fitzpatrick, it's funny. I have 3 outrights. They are Usti, Morikawa, and Fitzpatrick. So I fully
Nice.
agree with him. And then yeah, Patrick Reed, he's a gamer. He's a grinder. He plays well on good course or tough courses. I think he'll be fine. So I like that quite a
Hmm.
bit. I went the opposite way. Another Englishman I'm fading, Tommy
Okay.
Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood to
Oh,
miss the cut. This is almost 2 to 1. He played well in the
interesting.
Irish Open. He played well in the Scottish Open. And I honestly I think he makes the cut more often than he doesn't here. But this number is almost 2 to 1, which implies like a 33% chance. I think he misses the cut a little more often than that. I have it closer to 40%. Just a little value play. And yeah, I do think some of these English names are going to be a little overrated. He's bad off the tee lately. His second shot is going to be rough here again. And he does have 3 missed cuts over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Again, it's just he played well in the Irish and Scottish Opens over the last 2 weeks. Anybody who's kind of paid attention to what's going on in America, but not over there. A lot of guys played not only last week, but 2 weeks ago over here. And thank you, Dan, in the
Hmm.
chat there. Producer Dan, Lodoicius Theodorus
I
Oosthuizen.
was gonna. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for a pause so I could say his name.
Yeah, that is, I don't even know if I did it right. That's a hell of a name. That's like straight out of Harry Potter, Louis. We're just going to call him Louis.
It's
So,
very difficult.
Tommy Fleetwood to miss the cut almost 2 to 1. Yeah, just a bit of a value play for me. Nationalities are weird because a lot of times I play into like the Englishman, English Irish, stuff like that. There's a trillion of them. I had to veer away from that. What'd you end up here?
I am going with top Canadian. Caveat, footnote, I don't think I've gotten any of these correct
Never.
since you and I have started the show. But I'm going the top Canadian, Adam Hadwin, at plus 300. In his grouping, it is Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes. Adam Hadwin is the third favorite. And then you have somebody named Richard T. Lee, who I couldn't even find. I think he's an amateur. But Corey Connors, he's a great ball striker, of course. But I think Adam Hadwin, Corey Connors missed the cut last year and Adam Hadwin made the cut in 6 of his last 8. So he has more experience playing in the Open. So I'm going to go with experience over recent form for this one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you're right, but you're wrong. Like you nailed it. You faded Corey Connors a couple
Hmm
times, and you were right. It's just like some rando from way down the board came up.
Richard T. Lee.
Yeah, it's gonna be
So,
like, yeah, I don't know who Richard T. Lee is. Like, it could be. There are a bunch of amateurs in this field as well. So, yeah, the Canadian. I think we've tried Canadian like 5 or 6 times between us and gone like 0 for 5. We did the same week. We did both, and it was like David Hearn at 12 to 1 who ended up being top Canadian. He beat your guy by
mhm.
a stroke there. I went against Rory here. There's not actually that many Irishmen in the field. I believe it is just the four, and obviously Rory McIlroy is going to be your favorite in that. I don't love the fact. I'm glad this isn't like the same course because then I would get caught. I hate the course history stuff. I'm not the guy like, oh, they've won here before. I'm excited about like backing a guy because he won here last year. So yeah, he's the defending champ, but it was 2 years ago on a different course. So that makes me happy.
hmm
But Shane Lowry plus 180 here. I make this a lot closer. I actually have him his average finish. I have around 24th, 25th. So
Hmm.
I think he's going to be in it and just I don't Rory missed cut it. Like I talked about how Mr. Fleetwood played okay at the Scottish Open. Rory
Yeah.
didn't. And great,
Okay.
granted it's just a warm up event, but I'm not keen on his game anywhere right now, especially a links course where the fairways are wild, bumpy, hilly, skinny, scary. And yeah, I'm excited about this at almost 2 to 1 on this one. Oh my god, I
His
almost
game is too volatile.
yeah, I could see him missing cut. That would be great. I could there are two other Irishmen. I'm not terribly worried about. That'll be what gets me in the end. Like Rory will obviously miss the cut, and I won't make this anyway. Dan has a Wikipedia entry about Richard T. Lee. He had to withdraw from his only previous major, the 2007
Hmm.
U.S. Open. I don't think he's an amateur if he played in one of these 14 years ago.
No.
I'm gonna have
I
to learn
couldn't
a little
find
more.
really anything on him. I couldn't find data. He wasn't really listed in the European tour. So I'm just like, who is this ghost?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're gonna learn a little bit about Richard T. Lee as I am only 3, 4 holes to go here. I tried to make it overcast. I don't know if the weather thing on this was right. I didn't want sun. I wanted it to look like England. He plays on the Korean tour. There we go. Thanks, Dan. Dan's always a wealth of knowledge while I'm doing this. But hole in one. You saw my tee shots. What led you to a no here? We actually both agreed on this again.
That it's plus value, that
Yeah.
it's plus 100. There was only one made in 2011. And looking at the Open in general, I know that it's a rotating course, but there's just been 2 hole-in-ones in the last 5 total. So it's windy and a lot of the greens are going to be weird. I don't know. I'm just going to go with no because it's plus money value.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. Like I put it at like a 50-50. You can actually find a plus
Hmm
one. You can find a plus 120 on this right now. So if you can get something like that, I think it's a play. Three of these par threes are really tough. Like there's one, like I said, the 16th, which will be the next hole I play here, is going to be a little easier. But a couple of these par threes are over 240 yards. They are
hmm
the fifth, sixth, and ninth hardest holes on the course, those three. And then obviously the 16th hole, watch me hit a hole in one here is what's going to happen.
Not to mention the wind. So I
Yes.
if this gets ruined for both of us, it's going to be Richard T. Lee to hit the hole-in-one.
Oh, that would drive me up a wall. I feel like yeah, the revenge of Richard T. Lee here. But yeah, this hole I'm playing right now, the 16, it's only about 160 yards. We're hoping it's windy as I skip like 3 inches past the hole there. There might be some decent tee shots at this, but I will take my chances at plus money because all the other par threes are much too difficult. I believe
Hmm
it is one of those where you never know, though. You see some of these, a 220-yard tee shot just take 3 bounces and pop in, or hit the flag stick and go straight down. But I will be on the no. Pam will be on the no, and we've hit like 5 of these in a row, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. Wildcards. Let's get it.
Okay, mine. I like Ricky Fowler, but as a top 40, only as a top 40 at plus 110. You're giving me a top 40. You just have to like basically make the cut and you're going to give me
Yeah.
plus money value. I think he's really starting to come around with this game. We saw him miss the cut a lot here in the last 4 to 6 months, but he's done pretty well as of late. He took in 2021 since May, he took 8th and 11th at the PGA Championship and followed that up with an 11th place finish. Though he did miss the cut at the Travelers Championship, he kind of bounced back a little bit, taking 32nd at the Rocket Mortgage. You're just now starting to see a lot more green in his statistics compared to all the red that he had just a few months ago. And he does pretty well at the Open Championship. He's taken 30th, 46th, 22nd, 28th, and 6th. So maybe this is a really good spot for him to build on some of that confidence that he's starting to gain back.
Yeah, I know some smart people that have said some nice things about Ricky. He's not quite the fade he once was. I'm down with Ricky. So top 40. That's not asking a lot out of the man. He's been
Mm-mm.
he's been a winner in the past. So I like this one. I also it's funny you talk about your I thought you made that. That was just offered then to make the cut parlay. I suppose some books if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
that you can just make that yourself then too. But I actually
Yes.
found one in kind of the weird ones. I think DraftKings. I'm not sure where it was the same thing. It's like outrights, but you get a triple. So mine is Oosthuizen,
Oh.
Hovland, or Cantlay to win, and it was
So what?
again,
Okay.
and it was 9-1.
Nice.
So 9-1 implies, and again, if it were a vig free market, you have to do a little math on this, I guess, if you want to pull the vig out. But 9-1 implies 10% chance, and I just added up all. I started looking at a bunch of these, honestly. I started adding up all the percentages I made these guys to win. I think Usti a little higher than I probably should, but Usti and Cantlay near 4%. Hovland just a shade under 3. I added them all up, and it was over 11. So I said, well, if I'm going to get a 10% chance and I think it's 11, I'll just play a little because these are hard. It's hard to find a good wild card. So, and I like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm essentially double dipping. I want more Usti. If he wins this, I'll get this. I'll get the outright. I'll get the obviously I'll have him in some daily matchups as well. So, lots
Mm-hmm.
of Lewis for me this week. And yes, Oosthuizen, Hovland, and Cantlay 9-1. Any of these guys can win. So I just need all these guys near the top at the end. I do love Hovland a lot this week too. He's kind of my guy.
Yeah. I have to admit, I love my card, so that kind of worries me.
Yeah. I always feel good about it, like looking at it. I'm like, God, should I have parlayed these matchups? Like, I can't see how any of these lose at all. But all right, quick recap before we head out on a Tuesday night here. You ended up with Louis. As much as nice things I said about him, he was actually your outright winner at 33. Colin at
Mm-hmm.
35 for me. Justin Rose top 5 for your long shot at 12-1. That's a decent price for a guy just to stay up there where he has in all these majors lately. A Charlie Hoffman top 20 for me at 420. And yeah, Drew says you shot a 55. I think I did shoot a 55. I turned the win way off. Like, if there's no win, this isn't that hard of
Remember,
a
he's
course.
like mega easy mode.
Yeah, I'm on children's mode, like crayon mode here. So I did shoot a 55 though. That is the new course record. You played Kepka over DJ. I played Jordy over Kepka. Scheffler in their Longhorn theme, +1.5 to Reed in the handicap. I played Usti over Ricky Hatton's cousin or whatever, Tyrrell. You had the
True.
make the cut parlay. These were all make the cut. Morikawa, Fitzpatrick, and Reed all to make the cut for even money. I had Fleetwood to miss the cut at about 2-1. You had Adam Hadwin to be the top Canuck at 3-1. Top Irish for me for Shane Lowry at +180. We both had the no, so that'll be interesting. I'll just wait for that alert to come across and everyone in the golf chats to get excited. Oh my god, like what is it, Richard T.
Richard T.
Nelson or
Lee.
Richard T. Lee? Craig T. Nelson. I'm mixing up the guys here. But and then Ricky Fowler top 40 +110, and I had Usti Hovland or Cantlay to win at 9-1, and that's
I like it.
everything for today.
I like it.
So let's get excited. We got like 36 hours. Not even. This is the best part about this is when you wake up, like golf is on. Like this is
Tennis.
yeah.
Now tennis fans are gonna get a glimpse of what I do.
Yes,
Wake up early.
Wake up early. Golf will
All
already be
fans.
on. It is. It's
Hmm.
nice. It's my favorite thing before we go is the fact that the rounds are over at a decent time, and then I get
Yeah.
the next. Like I like to play daily matchups, so then the next daily matchups are out at a reasonable time. With some of these
Yes.
that finish at such a late, like West Coast golf, and it's over so late. It's
Hmm.
like, well, I'm making these bets tomorrow morning before the round starts, which I hate to wait that long. So for me and Pam, sponsor WinBet. This is approaching the green, and yeah, we'll wish you the best of luck in everything you do this week.
Good luck with your bets.